Hi guys, my name is Joran, and in the upcoming videos I'll explain all the things you need to get you going with creating your own music in TrackLab. We'll talk about creating beats, arranging melodies, mixing your tracks and applying cool tricks to make your compositions sound great. The first thing we're going to learn is how to create some different beats to have a good foundation for our songs. The first one we're going to make is a classic beat called 4 to the floor. This beat is used in a lot of modern pop songs, so it's quite useful. Let's get started by grabbing an empty track. As you can see, there's already a basic loop going. In the top left corner we have the spawner. It will send a pulse into the grid. Next to it we see a mirror. This will bounce the pulse down. As we follow the loop, it will come back to the spawner. When a pulse hits the spawner, it will create a new one. This is quite useful for loops. The reason we start out with this setup is because every corner on this square represents one beat in a measure. So we could count along. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The reason they call the beat a 4 to the floor is because on every beat the drummer will use his foot to hit the bass drum. We can do this by picking a nice kick from our samples. Now, put a kick on every corner. You can clone something you're holding by grabbing it with your other hand or by pressing the clone button on your controller. There we go. This is the start of your very first beat. To add some more rhythm, we need something called a snare drum. By the way, if you look very closely, you can also see different colored lines in the grid. If you follow these guides, it's a lot easier to see where every beat should be placed. The snare drum should be played every second and fourth beat. Since we already have a kick on these beats, we'll need to create the same square loop for our snare. So let's move our composition a bit to the left. Place some mirrors. Now place a spawner. Note that when you place the spawner, the music composition will restart on the first beat of the next measure. So you'll always be in sync with the music. Now let's add those snares. Place them on the second and fourth beat. This is starting to sound like a proper beat. To give it a little bit more detail, we're going to add something called a hi-hat. The hi-hat will fill the beat nicely, giving it a little bit more body. Do this by placing them between all the beats. You can play around with the position of the samples to create some variation. That's it! This will get you going when creating your first song. Now let's move on to beat number 2, the break beat.